Her vibrator is broken. After uncountable private romps, quick little sessions of relief and release, shared secrets unknotting the tensions of the everyday, and now it's broken. Or more precisely, it doesn't work. It no longer works. Her true and reliable companion sits cold and useless. It feels like when a best friend moves away and the bracelet becomes just a bit of colorful nylon. She thumbs the inset button and the room returns to silence. Gauzy fantasy replaced by slanted sunlight through the blinds. Low hum replaced by faint birdsong. She sighs heavily. Still knotted up, still hollow, still itching. Now what? What to do with a used up vibrator? Put it on eBay, say it belonged to a teeny bopper celebrity. Send it to a vending machine in Japan. Bury it ceremoniously in the backyard. For a long time, she lies still, staring at the blank ceiling. Her eyes close, summoning images, some memory, some fantasy. Rum-spiked hot chocolate in a ski lodge, people milling all around, a fire crackling. Venturing upstairs in search of an empty room. In an alcove, he pulls her in and kisses her neck, her chin, her nose, her lips. He tells her she's beautiful. She gets a few goosebumps, melts a little. He toys with her long John's waistband, pulls her ski pants down around her boots right there in the hallway. Her skin prickles with freedom and air, static pulling them together. She doesn't even worry about the red elastic marks. Her hand slides down her belly, squeezing her inner thigh, trying to find the excitement, the thrill, but it falls flat. She pictures her classroom, her desk. She's grading papers long after the last bell. Her calendar says she has a parent meeting. He walks in. Ms. Allerton? Hi, you're Jake's dad? The one and only. What'd he do this time? And how can I make it right? He sits playfully. He sits playfully at the edge of her desk, toying with her keyring. Wisps of gray give texture to his temples, and deep smile lines hug his eyes, blue or green. It's his third strike, she says. My hands are tied. She shivers at the thought. Well, he can't get kicked out, he says. He fingers her sleeve, touches her bracelet, but I have an idea. Why don't we get out of here? Get some wine, cook some dinner. But she's already bored with the thought. She wants him to close the door, grab her, push her back against the desk. She wants him to pull her hair, rip her buttons off. He's boring, this figment, soft. Even her imagination isn't working properly. Her painted fingernails rake her hip in frustration, and she bites her lip. The bedsheets are hot and bunchy under her. A blade of light from the blinds stretches across the ceiling, pointing at another patch of emptiness. She squeezes her eyes shut again, pictures a motorcycle. Outside a bar, parked at the edge of a handicap space. One ragged tassel hangs from the clutch handle. The engine ticks in the afternoon light. She trails a fingertip along the leather seat. Hey lady, says a gruff voice from the entrance. Help you with something? Sorry, she says, I like your bike. I like your bike? What is she, some kind of insurance slogan? Yeah, he says, me too. Take a ride with me. I'm just leaving. Well, she hesitates. I'm supposed to meet a friend. Screw him, the biker growls. Hop on, come with me. He takes her hand, presses it to the leather seat, brings it to his beard, teethes her knuckle. His eyes flash dangerously and half a smile arches toward his earring. I insist, he says. She gets on the bike and he kicks it started. The leather is warm and alive between her legs, rumbling like a dragon. Like a dragon? They take off down the road and they take off down the road. And the guy reaches back to grip her leg. The throb of the engine and the wind in her hair and the rough fingertips on her thigh. Her hand trails between her legs, finding some humidity, tingles of pleasure sizzling up her belly and down her legs with each change in pressure. A well of electricity pools in her groin and she dips a finger in, pulls back and around, slips two in, presses up against her palm. It feels good, but it's not right. Her fingers are slender and jointed, and she can feel them slimy against each other, and they can't equal the power of a throbbing motorcycle or match the life of another human. Her arms slump to her sides, and she heaves another sigh. She feels detached, distant, deprived. In that one moment when the servo motor stopped serving, when her vibrational frequency fell short of her wavelength, something was indelibly lost. She feels hung out to dry, abandoned in her own fantasy. This must be what it feels like, she thinks, to be an aging sex worker. Or to live in a society that practices female castration. Did she ruin herself forever? She looks at the toy, shrieks a howl, and flings it across the room where it thumps against the wall and knocks over a lamp. She cuts her hand, picking up the china fragments of the only thing she took from her grandma's estate sale. Blood beads out in a line across her palm. She stares at it. It's so red, glistening and alive, rich and vital, human. She touches it with the tip of her tongue, salty, metallic. It stings, and a thrill courses down her spine. Her vibrator lies at the edge of a scattered bits of china, dull and blunt amid the glinting shards. The contrast is nice. She reaches for it, picks up a nearby long flake. It shows half a daisy on a pale blue background. She snaps it in half. The pop echoes in her ears. Her mouth waters. She sits on the floor, 100 sharp corners reminding her of her skin, a smear of blood on her hip. She closes her eyes, pictures her gym, wood floors and a row of punching bags, flickering fluorescence and a hint of stale sweat. On her toes, throwing jabs and elbows, sweating on the bag, boom, boom, dull impacts tingling up her arms, knuckles raw despite the wraps. A man walks in. He invites her to spar. They shadow box around each other looking for openings. His eyes are steel gray, narrowed over a slight sneer. Feinting, jabbing, she knocks him back a step. He tightens his guard, laughs it off. Nice, he says, before catching her with a wicked body shot. She doubles over and scampers back, returning to her stance. He approaches. She backs off. She lunges in for a right cross. He slips the swing and catches her with a hook. She stumbles. He sweeps her legs and lands on top of her. The china slashes her bare back, each little wound a stab of feeling. Eyes closed, mouth open, she arches against the floor, yelping and crying, focused on the tiny transfictions, relishing the pinpoint stinging awareness. As a web of pain spreads across her back, the fantasy dissolves, leaving behind just an after-image of a veined arm around her neck, ushering an aura of red, of fire dancing at the corners of her vision, of a fierce struggle with her own body against the stronger, heavier, a dissociation of mind and self, and she sees herself on the floor, tears streaming down smiling cheeks, lips red-rimmed and parted, fingers of one hand buried in the carpet, the other a fist in her hair. When the waves subside, she sits up, muddy with blood and sweat. She reaches for her phone on the dresser, keys in a few search terms, and makes a call.